Hi everyone, welcome to the Brownsy podcast, and I'm much grateful to have you here. So, welcome to Brownsy podcast, where myth meets memory and legacy is carved in sound. Tonight, we begin a journey not just into the life of Viola Davis, but into the soul of every girl who's ever run from the shame, silence, and the shadows of her own story. This is Finding Viola, the girl who ran. She was born in St. Matthews, South Carolina, but her myth began in Central Falls, Rhode Island, a town where rust outnumbered dreams and the scent of poverty clung to her skin like a second soul. Viola Davis didn't walk into greatness. She ran, literally, from bullies, from hunger, from the feeling of being invisible. She ran with her sisters, sometimes barefoot, sometimes bleeding, always chasing a version of herself that hadn't yet been written. I was running from kids who called me ugly. I was running from shame. I was running from the fear that I didn't matter. Viola Davis, archival quote. What does it mean to run not just with your feet, but with your spirit? To sprint through childhood with the weight of invisibility on your back. In Ghana, we say, Obi nshre abofra nyame. No one shows a child God. But Viola found him anyway, in the silence, in the stage, in the mirror. Viola once said she smelled so bad from poverty, kids held their noses when she walked by. She didn't have running water, she didn't have safety, but she had a dream that one day her voice would be louder than her pain. Let's pause here, because this isn't just Viola's story. This is the story of every girl in Accra here who's ever felt unseen, every boy in Accra who's ever swallowed his truth, every soul who's ever asked, am I allowed to take up space? Viola Davis didn't just survive. She mythologized her pain. She turned trauma into testimony. She turned shame into cinema. Her first role wasn't on Broadway. It was her imagination. She played characters to escape. She performed to breathe. She acted to exist. And so we ask, what stage are you performing on today? Is it one of survival or one of becoming? Because Viola Davis teaches us that every performance is a prayer, every monologue is a memory, and every tear is a truth waiting to be named. Next week on Finding Viola, we enter the sacred rage, how anger became her compass, her weapon, and her liberation. Until then, remember, you are not just surviving, you are scripting your myth, you are building your monument. This is Brandy's podcast, and this is Finding Viola. We are moving on to the myth, the mirror, and the monument, a 30-episode podcast series by Brownsy's podcast. Theme: childhood survival and the myth of invisibility. That's the act 1, the becoming. The girl who ran, that's 1. Viola's childhood in Central Falls, poverty, bullying, and the mythic image of her running from torment. 2. The smell of shame. A raw dive into how trauma embeds itself in the body and Viola's journey to reclaim dignity. 3. The first stage was a mirror. Her early acting experiences as a form of spiritual reflection and survival. 4. Finding me in the silence. How silence, invisibility, and being overlooked shape her emotional architecture. The power of dark skin. Viola's confrontation with colorism, beauty standards, and the myth of erasure. The sacred rage. How anger became a sacred tool for transformation and truth-telling. 7. The God of Small Roles. Her early career, playing maids, nurses, and background characters, and the spiritual toll. 8. August Wilson's Prophet. How Wilson's plays gave her permission to be fully black, fully woman, fully mythic. 9. The first time I felt seen, a breakdown of the moment Viola felt truly recognized on stage, in life, or in love. 10. The woman who refused to shrink, her decisions to stop apologizing for her presence, voice, and power. We are moving on to the Act 2, the Ascension. Theme: fame, mastery, and the cost of becoming iconic. Analyze: Keaton was a spell. How to get away with murder became a spiritual and cultural breakthrough. 12. The Emmy that broke the curse. Viola's historic Emmy win and what it meant for black actresses everywhere. The lie of representation, a critique of tokenism versus true visibility in Hollywood. 14. The roles I had to fight for, behind the scenes battles for roles that honored her death and dignity. 15. The myth of the strong black woman. Viola's rejection of emotional suppression and her embrace of vulnerability. The cost of being iconic. Fame, exhaustion, and the spiritual tax of being a symbol. 17. The truth I never said until now. A conventional style episode revealing a hidden truth or fear. 18. The sacred memory. A story from her past that shaped her forever. Told like a cinematic monologue. 19. The woman behind the warrior. Her marriage, motherhood, and the quiet rituals that keep her grounded. 20. The mirror of Viola. How fans, critics, and culture reflect back different versions of her and what she sees in herself. Act 3. That's the monument, theme, legacy, spirituality, and mythic influence. 21. What Viola Davis taught me. She taught me fan letters, testimonials, and cultural impact, how she became a living monument. And 22. The rituals that keep me whole. Viola's spiritual practices, affirmations, and ancestral connections. And 23. The question I wish you had asked me. A poetic episode built around the one question she's never been asked. 24. The mythic of finding me. So a deconstruction of her memoir and the mythic journey it represents. 25. The legacy I'm still writing. Viola's vision for her future, her daughter, and her artistic lineage. 26. The Viola Davis archetype. How she's become a symbol like Athena, Ogun, or Ya Asantewa for modern storytelling. 27. The roles I will never play. A reflection on the characters she was denied and what they represent. 28. The woman who made us cry. A tribute episode featuring clips, quotes, and reactions to her most emotional performances. 29. The final monologue. Viola's imagined farewell speech if she were to leave the stage forever. 30. The monument stands. A closing episode celebrating her mythic status, her emotional legacy, and her eternal relevance. Hey bestie, thank you for joining us on the Brownsy's podcast with this conversation on the life of Viola Davis. We thank you very much for your time, and I will tell you to share, subscribe, and comment. Farewell to you. Thank you. We will be on the next episode. Bye bye.